All right.
Hello.
Hi, Elizabeth. We're
Hi.
we're live. I'm getting a kind of a Rupert Pupkin vibe tonight. How
How are
about you?
you? I'm
I'm all
totally
right. I'm okay. I'm okay. How about you? How's your
uh,
week going?
decent. It's been busy. And so that's always good. A lot of work and a lot of writing and stuff. I wish I had a good recommendation for this week. I had spent the last few days listening to Van Morrison's anti-lockdown songs because I was writing a largely comedy piece about his latest digression into politics. And
Ah,
I can say that these are good songs from a songwriting perspective, but the lyrics are objectively terrible. But it doesn't surprise me that it's coming from Van. I mean, I guess everything's surprising when it comes from Van, but he's just very strange. So
so you like the music, but not the words and the
the
message.
message was awful. The words are stupid. The music is cool, and he's such a good singer. You know, is that sometimes you can just be deeply seduced by just hearing his voice. You know, if you can kind of just like distance yourself from what he's saying, it still sounds like a Van Morrison song. And I know it's weird. It's a I guess that's cognitive dissonance or whatever. But yes, they're not good songs. The lyrics are really bad. But that's what I've listened to this week.
Wow, well, I'm glad you took one for the team because I ain't going there.
Oh no, I wouldn't. I would not encourage you to. I think that you disagree wholeheartedly. As a person who's lived through a lot of COVID, I think that you would think that he was pretty offbeat, totally off base, totally.
And
Um,
I'm just not that. I'm sorry. Like I probably sound like a Philistine or a Philistine, but I'm not that big a fan.
uh-huh.
So I love them, and that's but I'm not a big Van fan, so I'm happy to just step aside and let him do what he wants to do. And yeah, I'm glad you checked it out and listened. And I did, however, when we watched the last waltz on Thanksgiving, I kind of got into his performance. And then of course like the and you know and Eric and I were defending Eric Clapton to my daughter. She was saying like, isn't he kind of a jerk? And like, no, he was bad, but he's really kind of like come around. And then like the next day, like all hell broke loose. And it was
Right,
like,
right.
oh, they both suck.
Yeah.
But I kind of I really maybe I was stoned, but I got off on those high kicks that he does at the end, or he those high kicks that he attempts. I was kind of I was liking his persona for a change.
Yeah.
But speaking of sort of awkward but very talented. I really enjoyed watching this movie that I totally missed when it came out in 2003. It was called, I think it's called My Dinner with Jimi,
Hmm.
and it's
Okay.
a Turtles biopic,
Oh wow.
and it's written by Howard Kalin, and it's real low budget, and it's real, but it's actually really cool, and I
Mhm.
really recommend it. The cool thing about doing this with you on YouTube is that like I've never spent that much time on YouTube, and
Right.
now kind of like from being on there, and maybe it hears us talking about music, and like all these great music things are coming up. And so this turtles thing just appeared, and it was really fun. It was the turtles going to London
Oh
and
wow.
hanging out with the Beatles and Jimmy. And it's all played by actors, and they're all most of them wearing pretty bad wigs, and not
Huh.
even trying to look like they're not wigs that they're wearing. But it's really good. I just love the turtles, so um,
I don't
highly.
know that much about them, so this sounds like probably a good entry point. My turtles anecdote was it for you probably know this, but I did not know this. They have a sort of cool garage song called Outside Chance, and I did not know this, but Warren Zevon wrote that,
Yeah,
which
that
was pretty cool.
that actually that's featured in the movie,
Awesome.
and is, yeah, one of their great covers. And but yeah, that there's a good scene of them doing that song, and they use the original music, so it sounds, and you kind of really start to believe it's them. So yeah,
Cool.
definitely check it out. And that's my recommendation for the week.
Nice.
Um, but I guess we're going to talk about songwriting
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
tonight.
Yeah, and it looks like we already have a listener viewer comment. So I don't know
Oh,
if we want to use that as our jumping off point, or if we wanted to
sure.
do
We
something
might.
else and just say, we'll get to that. But like, yeah, I mean, I'm
We
just
could
that's staring at me.
jump right in with that from NJC Can. I think I might know who that is. I think that might be my friend Norma,
Oh,
up in Canada. So we're international tonight.
oh, very cool. So, what song do you wish you wrote and why?
Oh, there's so many,
Mm.
but and a lot of times when I cover songs, I just kind of pretend that I did write them. It just starts to feel like I did, and that's such a great feeling. I think I it's usually In My Room is one that I always feel like, that's such a intimate, personal song. That Brian Wilson song, it
Yeah.
always feels so soulful, and I can so relate to it. And so that's one.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Mm-hmm. I wish I had like a really cool answer to this question. Mm, maybe I should have waited before I asked it. Um,
Well, we can come back to we can circle back.
oh
Um,
yeah, no, I mean, but I think the answer that came right to the top of my head is Spanish Bombs, which is the Clash song about the revolution. Um, and just a Joe Strummer kind of masterpiece, which I think is like a perfect sort of encapsulation of the Clash, how they can make something that's so beautiful out of something that's so tragic and super catchy and get it done in like 3 minutes. So that would be like a platonic ideal, at least. If I had written, I think I could quit and I'd be very happy.
uh-huh.
But I do use it as a sort of like example of like, this is a really, really good song that's both personal and answer. Short answer. Long answer, too long.
No, but I don't think you would quit. Because I heard Dolly Parton in an interview once, and she's written just some classics,
Yeah.
so many. Yet she was saying that she was still looking to write another classic, another
Mm-hmm.
hit, or she was still aiming as high as she could, and so I think, no matter how great you come up with something, that life will change, something will happen that you're going to want to address. And sometimes the only way to say it, if you're a songwriter, is with a song. It
Mm-hmm.
somehow, I mean, I feel like completely not completely inarticulate, but often just cannot, really get to what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow, when I pick up a guitar with something on my mind,
Yeah.
and I'll just think like, let me just try to put this down, and 3 minutes later, like, there's the
Mm-hmm.
song, and it all
Right.
just like magically came together. And so I think that'll hopefully never stop, no no matter if we reach the highest heights.
No, I think that's really astute. And it's something that we say around the Paranoid Style headquarters, which is that like the store never closes, it's always open. Like that's the thing about songwriting that's a little bit different than like your day job or even like other writing projects that you might be working on. It's like you can elect not to write the chapter of your book that you're working on, or, you know, just kind of take a break from an article. But if a song idea comes into mind, it's kind of hard to ignore. You know, you just got to kind of jot down a note or whatever. And then it's like, sometimes it then transforms into something really easily or something more difficult, which is one of the topics that I think we wanted to address. Maybe you just mentioned like you can sometimes bang something out in 3 minutes and it's done, realized, and ready to go out to the world. And then there's things that like take way longer and you labor over and you kind of have an idea, but like it needs help or whatever. So is there an example of a song that you felt like came pretty naturally to you and was really easy and almost like, I don't know, not to be like spiritual, but like out of body experience almost, where it's like, I don't even know where that came from. Like, has that ever happened to you?
I mean, you know, that happens to me pretty much, not every time, but that is how I write songs. I feel very lucky in that. Maybe maybe I'd be more productive and like have written some actual like hit songs if I labored, but you know, if it's sort of just this urge, that this kind of like something is compelling me to get it down, and it's usually just happens. And if it doesn't happen that fast, I'm just like move on.
Yeah.
I mean, there'll be, you know, sometimes like if I want to write like another verse or something, a third verse, sometimes a bridge will take a little bit of work, like Dancing with Joey Ramone, for example. Like I literally woke up with that song in my head. The bridge was the only part where I was kind of like, oh, I need songs that he would dance to. And I had to sort of, you know, some of them started reeling out, but then I needed to like look for like a couple songs towards the end of the bridge. But other
Huh.
than that, it just was all there. And so, what about you? How does it start, and what's the process like in general for you?
In general, usually it's something that I see or hear like in a book or in nature, or, you know, not like in nature, like I'm not like a I don't do landscapes or anything, but like just like hearing somebody say something or whatever, you get like
Mm-hmm.
these weird phrases that get lodged in your head and you just want to like write it down. Like, and that's, you know, how a lot of like titles come to me. I was thinking about a song that I labored over, which is this track on an EP we put out in 2015 called National Sunday Law, which was the result of getting this weird religious tract in the mail. We were living in an apartment in DC and everybody got a copy in their mailbox, and it's just called National Sunday Law, and it's got this crazy cover, and it's this like kind of end of days sort of Book of Revelations thing, and it's super weird and crazy, and like there were just like 1,000 discarded copies like on the recycle. Like, I was like, why are we throwing this away? It's brilliant. Like National Sunday Law, that's a song right there. And so I took it, and that it became a song. It's not really about the religious tract at all, but it would be very hard to write a song that's better than this book, which is just very strange and needs to be its own thing. But yeah, I mean, it's usually just like something weird that catches my eye, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's going to be the next thing. Although that wasn't one that we did kind of labor over, because it was like really kind of slow and ponderous at first, and then like I don't know, like we had like lost our health insurance, and I was kind of depressed, and so I was like, I had this terrible ritual where I would like sit in bed at night and just watch episodes of Mad Men. and drink from a box of wine. And there was this episode of Mad Men where Peggy goes out on a date and there's this Petula Clark song playing. And I was like, oh, that's what we have to do. That's how we'll
cool.
National Sunday Law. So my possibly worrying behavior actually redounded to our benefit because we got this cool song out of it. But that's how that one happened.
It's almost like a collage approach in a way that
Yeah.
I like that. And it sounds like it could, like the topic is so layered that it's not something you just like bang out because it invites like a lot of different ideas and images. And so I think I can see how that it's a different beast. I wanted to ask you about this song that Eric's actually been mixing that you guys recorded here, and the title of it is Turpitude.
Uh-huh.
And I wondered if you started with the title and kind of found the images and the story to go with it, or if you kind of started reeling off this story about Jackie, who and this character, and then somehow came to this word as a sort of summing up of all the things that this person was going through.
In that case, that definitely just started with the word because it's such a strange word, and it contains multitudes within its 3 syllables. And turpitude is a funny word to say.
I
And
thought
it's
so,
just,
but I like.
but yeah, I mean, and then Jackie shows up a lot in some of our songs. She's kind of an amalgam of people that I know. Everybody's kind of got a Jackie in their life who's just kind of a wild person and maybe a little bit of a loose cannon and probably who you don't need in your life. But that felt like a song for Jackie. So it started with the word, and then it was just like, well, like Jackie seems like the kind of person. But there's some like personal stuff in that too, I guess.
Right. So it's like a work of the way like fiction writers will their own life will make a lot of the scenes, and you'll find things out of your own, but it's all just kind of comes together and creates a whole little movie.
Yeah.
But I find the whole writing to the title idea interesting. I lived in Nashville for a while and was kind of, pursuing somewhat like Nashville songwriting career, and had a publishing deal and stuff down there, and was supposed to come up with a certain number of songs a year, and was hoping to get some cuts by other people, and was doing a lot of co-writing, which is what people do in Nashville. And there was sometimes that idea of working towards a title, and some very clever, great country songs have, the title is kind of like the hook, and then you kind of have to find your way through verses to get there. But I never really enjoy that so much. It's a challenge. It's like a mathematical equation you have to solve. But I kind of like starting with the images and starting with the general feeling, and then somehow a title revealing itself and going like, oh, that's what this is about.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's really interesting.
A little journey. And I felt good when been listening to this Tom Petty interview book. And he says he says the same thing at one point, and that he just like he can't do it. He rarely started with the title when he was writing, that would just kind of come out eventually, and that was kind of his preference. But like, not to say there's any right or wrong way to do it, but I thought that was interesting. And he mentioned like the Nashville way, where they write to the title.
Huh.
That's a real crafty style of songwriting, though, I think, that he's talking about.
I mean, like, so for example, like, I mean, Well, first of all, I appreciate you acknowledging that, like, songs are usually like this kind of, you know, combination of like stuff that maybe is actually happening, but it's usually just characters. And I think you addressed this really well in Girl to City, where you're talking about writing Diary of a Mod Housewife, and you've got this collection of songs that appear to be so deeply personal, but you were thinking to yourself all the time, like, these are just characters that I'm writing. And, you're talking about like, going and playing them, and your friends kind of being like, oh, I wonder what's going on with Amy. And like thinking that they were all, I mean, they they're great songs. But that, like, I often feel like we're writing characters, and people take them as being more personal than they should be.
Right.
Which is, that's fine. It's not up to me to explain to people how to interpret my songs. But like, just out of curiosity, when you wrote 20 Questions, which I think is like one of the best songs that's ever been written, did you start with that? You didn't have that as a title? You just kind of...
No, it just started with the first line, like, it's nothing. He told me, don't worry your pretty head. Then he stumbled out of his cowboy boots and fell across the bed. Wow. And then I just kind of like left I just was sort of reeling. It was one of those sort of list songs where you're like listing all these things. And then as it wound down to the end of a verse, it was like, oh, this is one of those kind of like games, like 20 questions. And so that just kind of went like that. Just found it wasn't a concept to start with. It just kind of turned out to be that way. And that was like a kind of a lucky thing. And then I think when something like that happens, the main thing is to just like, like jump aboard and kind of, recognize the idea when it comes and hang on and try to like, and then, maybe that is where the work begins, where you're kind of like, you got to keep a hold of that idea and make it all like keep lining up so that it fits to that. But yeah, had I like tried to do it, it probably wouldn't have happened. It just kind of had to, it had to somehow find its way to that concept, just kind of naturally, I guess.
Wow. I had a totally different perspective. I had no idea. And I love that you just explained it, because I would have assumed like 20 Questions as a concept is just such a great idea that you like started that way. But in fact, it was kind of a retrofit. So that's really awesome.
I know. I'm not that clever, that I would like come up with the idea and go like, okay, now like here's where the work begins. In a way, it's kind of, I guess I'm, like an idiot savant sort of when it comes to that sort of thing. Just got to go with like, it's more like an instinctive, like intuitive thing, and just to like follow it along, and so I think, yeah, I feel lucky in that way.
Well,
I'm seeing we have a hello from Michael White in Rockford. You guys have played in Rockford. Have you? Or oh no, I'm thinking of Michael and his partner Kathy. They've put on some nice house concerts in Rockford, Illinois, which is a really interesting town.
Yeah.
And but I think they had Wussy play, or they had Chuck and Lisa, at least maybe the whole band. And so I think for some reason it might have been around a time when you guys were doing gigs with them, and so that's why I'm putting you in Rockford too. But
yeah,
so
we haven't had the
Michael.
pleasure, although Michael has I think generously offered it, at least as a theoretical concept. So I know that it's a fun place to play, and obviously it's proximate to Chicago. I think maybe I met Michael. Oh, John Smollett's here too. Hi, John. But yes, I would love to go to Rockford. It's the home to
Cheap Trick.
Cheap Trick. Thank you.
Yeah. Because I've been there, and I got a great tour from Michael White. Took me like showed me the club where they first played, and so yeah, that was really kind of an interesting rock, stop in the rock cities of rock that
Yep.
all the lore.
So, do we have any questions from our
Any
audience members?
songwriting
John
questions?
Smallwood, great stuff. Um, yeah, if you guys had any questions about songs we've written or whatever, we would be more than happy to answer them. Otherwise, we could just, talk each other's ears off about
I know.
the process, which maybe is super boring, but I'm enjoying this very much. I'm learning a lot.
I am too. I love talking about songwriting. And have you ever done any? I've taught a few like songwriting workshops,
Oh, wow.
and I find it. I mean, I'm not a teacher, and I don't know how people do it, but really, I think the best thing is just like once people get out their guitars and start playing stuff they're
Yeah.
working on, then I'm just like all in and can
Yeah.
and just want to get involved. And if people are like looking for help, or I love songs. I love how they're like put together and taking them apart, and um but they're a big mystery also. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think when I have had some workshop to teach, I've had like friends who are like good at like teaching,
Yeah.
give me like exercises to do, like write the worst song that you can come up with. Let's just get like really bad, or take a structure of a song you love and throw out the lyrics and the melody, and just write your own lyrics and melody over things like that are fun if like if you're kind of like run out of ideas of stuff to do. But here, I think we have some question from Josh Kamensky. Do
Oh.
either of you start with another artist's song or style that you want to explicitly emulate in some fashion, or work in another medium? Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, sort of almost like like in the style of, like you'd see painters working in the style of, or you'd hear, the way Merle Haggard sang like Lefty Frizzell till he
Yeah.
sounded
Yeah.
like Merle Haggard. So that's a good it's a good question. And do you have
I
any
well, I mean, I feel
examples?
like there's so much copying happening in the Paranoid Styles oeuvre, uh, that yes, I mean, I think almost 100% that would be the only way that I write. I'm trying to think. Like I explained that like National Sunday Law is Petula Clark filtered through
Mm-hmm.
the Paranoid Style lens. Um, there's a song from one of our very early works called Subtraction by Subtraction, which is basically, I mean, I don't want to give away all of the keys to the kingdom because then I won't have any secrets, but that's a big rip on Costello's Green Shirt. So yeah, I mean, like there's so many inspiring themes that have already been done that I am more than happy to do something in the style of something. And I think it's probably, this is going to sound like a humble brag, but like I'm really kind of bad at copying things too, though. So I sort of forget what they did. So it's kind of wrong. So
That's
it's not
good.
even like, it's like I'm consciously trying to make it different. I just like forget the progression or something, or, play it too fast or too slow or whatever. So it's like, I like copying people, and I think it's a great way to write, but I'm just kind of bad at it too. So it turns into like my own thing.
Well, it's good to have something to use as a jumping off point. I as well have been inspired by a Petula Clark record. And that song, The Good Girls, from Diary of a Mad Housewife, was definitely like I wanted it to be, just that like working girl kind of song that I always felt like Downtown was, or it basically felt like the chord progression of I Know a Place, which was another Petula Clark, a really great one. But so you kind of, it gives you like it can be the sort of the theme of the lyrics and the kind of general feel of the song to kind of get started. I think from Philip Roth at Gmail to R. Zimmerman, that like I'd been playing It's All Over Now, Baby Blue. I'd just been kind of playing a version of that based on Marianne Faithfull's version, which is such a cool kind of folk rocky one she did back in the, I think like in the, it was before Broken English. But anyway, and then I was also listening to a lot of Tom Petty and this kind of chimey 12-string thing. And it all, just like the amalgam of those things. Like I felt very much like I wanted to write a, kind of Dylan crossed with Tom Petty style song with a little Bruce Springsteen thrown in.
Those very nice. Came out great.
Those can always be, those are good ones to kind of just have in the hopper.
It looks like Michael White also wants to know, have either of you ever been surprised by where one of your songs or recordings have turned up? Well, I can say for myself that my songs haven't really turned up anywhere. There was, I'm not surprised by this, but we have a friend in Ireland who used one of our songs to soundtrack I think it was like a public service announcement for like healthfulness in Ireland. And so like they took our song, I think it's The Thrill Is Back. And they took that and they kind of used it as a soundtrack to like these Irish people kind of running around and doing push-ups and stuff. But I've always wanted people to find the Paranoid Style to be the kind of record you want to work out to. So I felt like that was a good fit actually. And also,
very high praise. I had, this was an early song. It was called Cast Iron Girl that my band Last Roundup did. And it turned up in this movie. God, now I can't remember the title of the movie. But it's about a chimp that goes back to college. Well, goes back to college. He never went in the first place.
Nice.
It's about a chimp that goes to college, starring Armand Asante. And and I actually have gotten some royalties for that over the year because the film still plays here and there. And anyway, Cast Iron Girl is like on a jukebox in a bar when, like a college bar where this chimp is going to school. But now I can't remember the name of the movie, My Big Moment, and I like totally blew it. But anyway, but just search, chimp, Armand Asante, chimp in college. But yeah, I've gotten some films, some filmmakers have used my songs. I was very proud that Kelly Reichardt, who I love her movies, and I don't know if it was the first, but it was called River of Grass, and she used Don't Break the Heart and in a scene from that, and that was like, just felt like such a great compliment because she uses such great music in her movies as they've progressed. She's really become known for that. But
yeah, she has she's used Yola Tango to great effect. And I don't think I've seen the film that you're speaking of, so I'll have to check it out. But
it's a really cool
great
film. It's really interesting. But I think the hardest thing can be when you are told that you're going to have this song in a movie and they get the rights and whatever, and then you watch the film and you're just like, is it there? There's one movie with Lily Taylor and Courtney Love where they supposedly used one of my songs, and it's not the greatest film, but I've like tried to hear the song in there, and it's just like, what, why didn't it work out? but we live in hope.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, licensing is just the sweetest
That's it.
plum.
We've got Animal Behavior. That's the film with the monkey. It's
Yes.
from 1989. So, yeah, it's definitely still out there. Animal Behavior.
I think that is a great achievement. And while we just agreed that you probably can't quit just because it's so hard to silence the muse of song, you could quit. And I would say that's fine, because
I've
having your song in a movie about a chimp going to college is like, just like that's where I live. That sounds perfect to me.
I know. I know. I should celebrate that achievement more than I do. I don't think I've ever actually told anyone until right here today.
Oh
So,
my, true confessions on Looking for the Magic.
I should be crowing that, shouting it from the rooftops.
It's a big achievement. Uh, well, I think we could probably go on for hours, and maybe
I
we can come
know.
back to this topic at some point. But I appreciate everybody who's been here for us, but I don't want to keep them from, their nightly activities, because I know it's getting to be late at night for those of us on the East Coast. And so I don't know. Does it feel like a good point to wrap, or do you want to
Yeah, I
get
think
one more question
and
in?
I don't know if anybody's got any more questions. Did we miss anything? Oh, I see Wes Eichenwald, a friend down in Texas. Hi, have you ever found that books or classes about songwriting have helped you at all? Or do you think that those things are necessary? Or things are unnecessary? Sorry. Um, I mean, I think, like I was saying, when I kind of have had the chance to sort of teach one of those songwriting workshops or something, it's almost like just nice sometimes for people to be able to play their stuff for other people. And I mean, I like at this point, I'm used to doing that, but I guess like starting out, maybe they're, I don't know. Um, I think it would be better than like trying to play at an open mic. I always think people are so brave who do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Um, but I think, I mean, there definitely were books about song. There's books about songwriting. There's some people who, I think, write like, I know I keep bringing up his name, but Paul Zollo writes a lot about songwriting, does a lot of interviews with songwriters. I think that's the stuff that's really worth seeking out, is interviews with songwriters that you admire, or who you kind of, whose style you like, and kind of hearing what they have to say about writing songs. That seems really helpful to me,
yeah,
to just kind of, to find out like how other people do it.
yeah.
But I don't think there's like a manual that can tell you how to do it.
I kind of agree. I mean, first of all, I don't think anything is disqualifying. So if you are the kind of person who learns better from a book, or uh, an instruction manual, and I haven't actually read Jeff Tweedy's new book, so maybe I will revise my statements here.
Oh, that's a
Um,
cool. I like that what is the title? How to write
one
one
song,
song.
yeah,
I love that, because if it had been called How to Write a Song, that indicates like, oh my God, I'm going to have to like become a songwriter. That sounds like so hard.
yeah.
I don't know if I can do it, but if you're just going to do one,
Mhm.
it just sounds like something really fun, and you'll probably, like, so I really I loved his first book. His memoir was great, and I
Yeah.
really want to, I want to check that out. Oh, someone's asking, want to leave us with a song? This is from Josh Kamensky. Want to leave us with a songwriting assignment?
Sure.
Yeah, I want to leave me with a songwriting assignment. I want to have a job to do. What would be a good one? I like that one from that I mentioned earlier, where you take the chords and the feel of a song you like, and then you throw away the words and the melody, and that could be one. What do you have any ones, Elizabeth, that you?
I think if you want to challenge yourself,
I do.
let's turn like so there's this I can't remember who said it originally, but like, in country music, all you need is three chords and the truth. And then I think that this might be apocryphal, but I think Joe Strummer basically said something like, I only had two chords and a vague idea. And I think that's really funny. But I also think that one of the hardest things to do is write a song using only two chords. It's possible, but I think it's a big challenge. I think when you've got three chords, whole worlds open up. But two chords is like actually kind of hard. So if you can write a full song, it doesn't need to necessarily have a bridge, but if you can figure out a song in two chords, I think that would be a fun challenge.
That's great. When I met Reckless Eric, that was like one of the first things I said was, "Whole wide world, it only has two chords. How did you do that? And make it create this thing that's so complete."
There you go.
And it's not easy somehow. That really strips it down to the basics. So. I like that idea too. It's not going to be another whole wide world, but
no, it's going to be hard to recreate that. But but that's a great example.
I love this. Justin Cox says Toots and the Maytals killed it over and over with two chords. What a great that is inspiring. I like that.
Well, now I'm being disproven.
Emperors, and Josh says Sinead's Emperor's New Clothes is a great two-quarter. You're right. I love that song. Yep. This is amazing. I'm sure, we can compile a list, and then it'll inspire us to. Yeah. I think this is a good idea. I wanna do it.
All right, cool. That's our assignment. Either take the words and the music out and just do your own thing, or write a two-chord song. But everybody, we expect you to turn in your work early. We will be judging and grading. So look forward to that next week. And I don't know. This was really fun. I look forward to seeing you next week. And I don't know.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Here with us. Thanks.